right, it's another Talk About It Tuesday. You got your guy Mojo here and my co-host here.
Say the truth.
Yo, smell the guru.
And we here on another Tuesday just to let y'all know how that fantasy game went last week. See what kind of L's some of us took, what kind of W's came out of it. And how do we move forward? We this is a season. It's not one game, it's not one week. This is a season. And I say that to start it off with, if you started off 0-2, do you throw in the towel now? Go ahead and send your money into the commissioner and be like, I gracefully bow out. I say no, no, sir. I've started off first and made the playoffs, so it can be done.
No,
How you guys feel about that? I don't think either of you are 0-2 anywhere. However, I am. So, what can you say to those people out there in my situation that I'm definitely 0-2 in a couple of different situations?
Oh, you stick it out. Stick it out. I won a league. I was 0-5 and ended up winning out.
I remember that.
Yeah. So
perseverance.
Perseverance. You gotta believe in your team. You know.
Just don't be the Tennessee Titans from Monday Night Football.
Well, it's funny that you say that, Mel, Mr. Guru.
What's that?
That you mentioned the Tennessee Titans, because
You got a beat.
I have a particular running back that I picked up. I drafted
Somebody's mic.
Mojo.
Your mic.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, but we can hear a little sound as well.
Real low.
Frequency.
I have a particular running back that I drafted in the first round.
Something with your mic. The mic is making noise.
Well, while Mojo's fixing his mic, I'm gonna just go ahead and say, I think I know where he's going, and I hope not, because I have that same problem. And if he's talking about the cold one himself, Mr. Derrick Henry, I share those sentiments exactly.
So where are you with him? And as far as your lineup, where are you with him? Like, what do we do?
Well, you got to hold on to him. I mean, you're not going to get his value if you try to trade him. I mean, his name does carry a lot of weight, but you're not going to get his value. And coming up on the schedule coming up is going to be a lot easier for him. So then again, you also got to take into consideration, we're talking about Buffalo. You know what I'm saying? Buffalo. So Buffalo can hit you in all different areas. All three faces they can hit you, and on defense they can hit you on the line, the middle, and the outside. So you have to give some respect to Buffalo when you take into consideration what happened with Mr. Henry, and it was just game script. I mean, his gloves were off halfway through the third quarter. Therefore, you weren't going to get any more points out of him. No sense in beating up a man that's not going to win the game. Although for fantasy, we want them in, but reality, they take them out.
So do I take my hat off to the Giants as well, because he didn't do anything week one either?
Well, that was the first game back. Game script.
You got a lot of excuses for this guy.
hey, for number one draft pick, you better find some.
You better find something. I heard he had a stomach bug. The day of the game.
He had a hangnail. You got to find something, because, like I said, you're not gonna be able to get any value for him. So you're gonna have to figure out a way to keep him on the bench, keep him on the field, or keep him on the field. And I see brighter days ahead for Mr. Henry.
And you brought up a good point. Is like, if I tried to trade him right now, I would definitely, nobody's going to give me McCaffrey for him right now, or anybody. I mean, if I can get Nick Chubb for him, I'd do that. But I probably have Chubb already. But yeah, it's looking bleak. I was reading an article today where it spoke to them giving up AJ Brown and how that dynamic of the passing game, it's a trickle down effect. So he just doesn't have the room to run. Everybody is loading the box on him, and is that going to change if they can't pick up the pace through the air?
That's something I thought about in drafting, and that's why I only have him in one league. I said, I'm gonna try, but I did realize that exactly what you said is gonna happen. It's gonna take away the whole play action series, and you don't have any threats on the outside. What Robert Woods, Trey B, so those are your threats, and they're not very threatening.
Yeah, at least not right now. I mean, maybe Traylon. I think Traylon Burks can get there,
Yes.
but he's going to probably be mid-season, if that happens. Um, so in the same sense, that dynamic helps the Eagles because you have to respect a wide receiver like that.
Yes, sir. And I like as far as him, he's not the only back. We talked about it last week that continues to disappoint. These top backs is really tough sledding right now. Um, you had Kamara out. You got uh, McCaffrey, who's in a subpar offense. You got Mixon. You don't know what you're going to get from the Bengals. So where do we go from here? As far as I mean, it's a critical position. We all drafted high for him. Do we start relying more on our wide receivers? Like I typically like to run a running back in my flex. I'm moving away from it. Like this week, I feel like because of the lack of production out of so many backs.
Well, here's one thing you got to take keep into consideration. You just named a whole bunch of them, and I say the backs all the way from 1 through 9 have been disappointing. So if you in a 10-man league, you have nothing to worry about. If you're in a 12-man league, you have very little to worry about. Reason being is because while your number one stud back is performing a little deficiency, performing a lot of deficiency, so are your league mates. Nobody's number one back is out here just balling out of control. So therefore, that's why I say we could ride it out. It's not going to be a big problem. It'll fix itself because everybody has the same problem right now, from 1 through 9 at least.
Very, very good point.
Yeah.
That's why I'm the guru.
It's very guru-ish of you. Yeah, the guy I'm playing, Jonathan Taylor ain't do nothing either. So yeah, good point. Very good point. But it's just a little disheartening because I guess because I keep losing. I went like, okay, so let me just throw my little record this week out there, 2-6. Like, what is that? One, I was playing Jay over here, and for the second week in a row, I started Cleveland's defense over Buffalo.
What?
And for the second week in a row, I could.
That was a mistake.
Yeah, for the second week in a row, I could have won the game, but ended up losing. Just behind that one coaching move. So they have me ranked dead last as far as coaching in that league.
Walk me through that thought process. Let
me tell you what the thought process was. So I'm talking to my bull, thinking, I'm gonna get some good advice. I'm like, hey Jay, what you think? Would you run with the Cleveland defense? He's like, yeah, run with the Cleveland defense.
Wait, you talk to your opponent?
Yes, sir.
I'm about to go backstage.
That sounds like not only that, but CBS. They're quick to call me out if I put somebody in that they said. If I don't put somebody in that they said put in, but by everyone's projections, the Cleveland was supposed to run across the Jets. The Jets are supposed to lay down and die like a dead puppy, but they did not. And so I don't really look at it like I made a mistake. However, I should have, like week 1, just ran with the top defense that was drafted, which was the Bills. And they are looking like for real. When you're talking about a defense, you got to look at that they can really win your week. I could be 2-0, but instead I'm 0-2.
Yeah, I mean, Mojo, honestly, I'm a humble fantasy player.
I'm not.
Although the truth hurts a lot,
Shameless
the
plug.
the truth, the truth of fantasy is any given Sunday. True. Who would have thought the Jets were going to do that to Cleveland? I picked up Cleveland in one league. Matter of fact, 2 leagues. I mean, who would have thought that was going to happen? So, but I would say this because of, I mean, the Bills, Cleveland. I mean, they are. I mean, Bills are probably better defense, but you're looking at who they were matched up with. You know, who would have thought?
And I even expected more out of Tennessee, considering they just lost to the Giants. You know, I'm thinking, well, they're definitely going to come out and turn it up, you know, and give Buffalo a run for their money, and absolutely not the case.
Well,
Yeah.
So what defense you playing next week, Mojo?
I'm dropping Cleveland. First of all, I never carried 2 defenses in that league. I told you I was late for the draft, and the computer picked me 2 defenses in the first 10 rounds. And I was rolling with Cleveland because of the matchups. Seriously, like I expected more out of the Rams week 1 and they gave Buffalo nothing. And then I expected nothing from the Jets, and they gave Cleveland everything. So it's just, you know, I'm actually, whether I pick somebody up off the wire or not, I'm dropping Cleveland. I'm dropping the defense because I'd rather just stream a defense during the bye week. The great thing about a defense is it's going to be that defense all year. They can't get hurt. You know, it's like not like one guy gets hurt and that defense all of a sudden sucks. While in some cases that may be the case, they may not be as effective, but that defense is pretty solid, especially compared to the offense. They're good on both sides of the ball. So yeah, I'm just gonna ride with Buffalo. See how that goes the rest of the season.
So you weren't counting on Garrett Wilson getting
Who?
14 targets with 102 yards.
Who?
You weren't counting on that?
I really didn't know.
Not even Mr. Corey Davis, huh? Not that either.
No. And Carter and the other guy. Look, they just, I don't understand what happened.
What do you guys think about Garrett Wilson? Is he real?
Yeah, I think he's real. He's raw. Definitely, he's real.
I think. Well, from what I can tell, he's. I mean, he did. You would think that the Jets don't have much, but if you look at what they've been able to produce so far this year, yeah, I'd have to put him on the real side. I would probably run him as a number 2 receiver. Definitely in the flex. I don't know if they have the firepower for me to project him as a number 1, but definitely a solid 2 and maybe a flex, you know.
Well, keep in mind, Garrett has 22 looks over the past 2 weeks, so he's averaging 11 a week. And the New York Jets says for all the reasons that you picked to change your defense, but for all those reasons, you don't expect for them to have a positive game flow. So they're going to always be throwing, and especially when you have Mr. Joe. I'm just trying to hold on to my career Flacco back there. He's just going to be gunning them. He has nothing to lose. And so they're gonna. So he's just throwing it all over the place. You got Corey Davis coming out. I mean, I think Eli Moore had like a 86% route, and Corey, I think he had like 73, and Garrett Wilson was down around the 50s, but he still has 22 looks over the past 2 weeks. So therefore, the Jets are going to be throwing. Carter's going to catch out the backfield, and they're going to be throwing because they should be losing.
Yeah, he fits the equation. Usage, targets. I don't know. Yeah, definitely. He has the ability.
Yeah.
You know, it's fantasy physics.
Not to mention, remember, he was the first round pick. He was a 10th pick overall. I believe the first wide receiver off the grid. So, to answer your question, yeah, I'm with him.
What's interesting is you mentioned, you know, these names, and you said Flacco has nothing to lose. When you think about it, the expectations aren't real high with them right now without their, you know, starting quarterback. I'm not a huge Flacco fan, but I know for a fact that Flacco can manage a game. and he can, air it out when he needs to. Not only that, but if you look at the Jets right now, both of their backs have been pretty productive as well. So they are definitely some fantasy sleepers. In some leagues, you got one or the other of those backs on the wire. I think actually in our league, I have both of them. Trying to see which one of them really pops, but they've been kind of like neck and neck. They're getting like 10 touches a piece, a couple of looks through the air a piece. So I mean, when you look at it like that, offensively, they're actually pretty well rounded.
Yeah, and a lot, as you say that, something I just thought about. A lot of teams in the league over the past couple of years have gone to the dual back system, and so you think about it. Last year, Jacksonville had, well, 2 years ago they had James Robinson, and then when they drafted Travis Etienne, who was supposed to be the number one, and then he comes in. Now they have two. Same thing with Michael Carter. The Jets had him ready last year. Then they picked up Brees Hall. Now they have two, and a lot of these teams are going with the two with the two down. I'm sorry, not going with the committee. Well, not really committee, but going with the dual back because it also helps with the longevity of the back. In every situation, even in Chicago, in Frisco, in everywhere, for the most part, I say about at least 80%, if not 90% of the leagues are now leaning towards a dual back system.
Yeah. One system that isn't is Tennessee. They just
Yeah.
run one guy and he had what 20 yards yesterday. God. Anyway, I don't want to get back on that.
Well,
No, but yeah, the Jets are surprising. What other teams surprised you guys this week? What other players or teams?
uh, man. Well,
several.
go ahead, Jack. My bad.
I mean, I don't know about surprised. Um, of course, I have to go with last night. Jalen Hurts. It's not really a surprise. I
Yeah, that's not
expect.
a surprise.
I expect. I don't know if you guys wanted me to go there at this point, but you asked me the question.
That's not a surprise to me. Yeah,
Well, my surprise was just how poised he was. Um, the overall feel of the game, the overall feel of how the Eagles were balanced. They didn't. Even when the turnover, they didn't. Break a sweat. Um, it's just it was the surprise to me was just it seems like how they came together last week. It still seemed it was some imbalance there. Um, and I'm not talking run to pass ratio type balance. What I'm talking about is just uh, the team all together as far as their energy from offense to defense. Last night there was just kind of a team energy where everybody was on the same page. So, but I think a lot of that comes from your leader. Jalen Hurts being more confident in himself and kind of just owning the confidence. Not being too excited, not just taking what he was given and making the right plays. He was throwing some good shots too. I didn't see him. I didn't see him waver when it came to just his accuracy when he decided to run. So and even the play calling, the coaches seem to be getting settled in. So to me, I would just say sometimes it can be surprising with any team to see that much cohesiveness.
Yeah, he was definitely poised. Something you talked about earlier, I just want to touch back real quick. I know you don't want to talk about Henry too much, but keep in mind, Henry did get 13 touches, and it was only 2.5 quarters. So you put that into perspective, the workload is still going to be there for him. Something that was surprising for me was Mr. Dalvin Cook out of Minnesota. He had 17 rushing yards, 19 receiving yards, and his little brother had 53 rushing yards in Buffalo. And so, I mean, you take the 17, 19, you're not even touching that 53. Not that I'm trying to compare them, but D Cook was a tier one. J Cook is on waivers in about 90% of the league. So That's something that was very surprising to me yesterday as well.
Well, out of that same game, what actually surprised me wasn't so much Mr. Hurts. That was kind of expected. I mean, he did play lights out. He broke a couple of records. First quarterback or first player in the NFL with over 300 yards, multiple rushing touchdowns, and an 80% pass percentage. So completion percentage. So that, I mean, yeah, that's great. But the most surprising part for me, moving from week one, was the defense.
Lights
And
out.
you
Lights
know,
out.
I was watching threads during the game where people were like, "Why aren't we rushing the quarterback? Wow, there's no rush. This is stupid. Gannon sucks." And I'm like, "We're up by like 3 touchdowns. Why do we have to rush the guy? Obviously, and then he's throwing us the ball. So shut up. Let us drop back in coverage." I didn't see a problem with it. It really worked out well. I mean, like you said, Guru, lights out. I don't even know how they scored the touchdown they did.
I hate to admit it, but Sly was that eagle who was flying high. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I just made a rhyme. Yeah. Write that down.
A couple
It's
balls.
slide, by the way, but big play Slay showed up in a big way, so I rhymed a little better. But
Yeah. But mine was original.
who was the other one? Maddox, I think, got an interception, was it? And these were balls that, and his looked like he was a receiver. I mean, he went up for it. He jumped, extended himself, and pulled that ball down. It was like, they were feeding off of each other. The offense feeding off the defense. Like, you definitely want to see a game where your offense is on the field like the whole game. I was a little disappointed that we kind of stalled out, didn't put any more points on the board. But the fact that the defense stepped up in such a big way, they were in the red zone like 3-4 times. And for them to only come out with one touchdown, not even a couple field goals, very impressive. I talked about it in the offseason, personnel wise, the Eagles should be a top 3 to 5 defense. So to have them come out and show it, and nobody's going to tell me, oh, Minnesota sucks. No, everybody didn't even know if we was going to win, didn't think we could win. Justin Jefferson, the best receiver in the NFL, got shut down, basically.
Yeah, I'm here in Philly, so I'm here in Philadelphia. So they were talking. There was a lot of talk on talk radio. And, Philadelphia can be pretty, negative Nancy. There's a few of them, just a few, a couple. Yeah. But it was funny, they were talking about why they didn't score in the second half. I mean, but if you watch the game, to me, it was the game flow. I mean, they turned the ball over. I mean, Minnesota was, they were moving the ball. It's just we were stopping them at the, within the 20. So, they did hold the ball a little bit. It's just the way the game went. We didn't have to score because they weren't scoring. So it wasn't any need to, take those big risks in the second half that way. But I mean, but that's what I mean about the balance of the game. I mean, defense stepped up to where offense didn't have to work as hard. They just had to, keep the ball where they needed to, move it down the field. Yeah. And when they did make a mistake, defense was able to stop them. But I know we're not just talking about the Eagles.
Yeah,
I was just about to say, all right, that's enough of that Eagle talk.
We got to move on.
That's enough of that Eagle talk.
Game of the week for me.
We about to pivot. Yo. We're talking about concern.
What I really want to get to is, to me, in my opinion, the game of the week probably won quite a few people their week across the board. We're talking about 80 points put up in a football game. We're talking about the Miami Dolphins and Mr. Tua and the Baltimore Ravens with Mr. Lamar. What's your take on this? Is buying or selling on Tua?
I'm buying on Tua. I mean, I think at this point he has he has a lot of weapons. I mean, you got to see Waddle up close and personal, right? You got to see him this week up close and personal. I believe so. You know, but Waddle was already, he was already, he showed up last year, but now you put Tyreek Hill in that mix. Gesicki's always been a good option. Now I think their running game may have to step up a little bit, but Tua is it's his second year. He's getting a little more comfortable. He was slinging that ball. So I'm glad I didn't play Tyreek Hill this week. Oh man.
Well, even with the running game, Raheem Mostert had 55% of the ground, and he had the early downs. He had some goal line looks. So I mean, the running game was there, but I think pretty much Tua, they were trying to come out and make a statement, and that statement was that we're going to just keep throwing it and do what we're going to do. Not to mention, remember, Baltimore secondary was a little beat up. Well, not little. They were a lot beat up. So therefore, you got to attack the weakness of the defense. And at that time, their weakness was going to be the DBs and just the DBs. And so therefore, he just let that ball fly. Plus, when you got two prolific, just multi-touchdown, multifaceted players in T. Hill and Waddle, you got to go ahead and use them. Plus, who you gonna stick? Who you gonna double?
Well, I know I'm not playing either one of their defenses next week against nobody because y'all both allow way too many points and way too much production. I'm a little concerned with both of their running games. Not so much Baltimore in the same sense. Miami is definitely, I think, gonna have to do more in the running game if they want to really contend or be taken serious. Right now, I still don't really have them in the playoffs, just because without a bona fide running game, I don't think they get past a lot of teams. Baltimore, like you said, Guru, their secondaries beat up. There was not a lot of expectations out there, and you do have a Waddle and a Tyreek Hill, so yeah, they can get exposed. But every team doesn't have those kind of weapons, so I think they'll fare okay. The problem I have with Baltimore's running game is that it's Lamar Jackson. Where's J.K. Dobbins? Where's Drake? These guys that we drafted. I need them to get more of those touches. And they talk about Jalen Hurts and how he runs, but he runs out of necessity more often. They do have design plays for him, but Lamar Jackson is the running game right now for Baltimore. Is that good or bad in you guys' face?
I mean, I think it's good for right now. And the reason why I say that is because you got to take into consideration J.K. Dobbins is not even on the field, so he wasn't even playing. Drake is never the answer. He never has been the answer, and he probably never will be the answer. And I don't even know where Mr. Davis is at this point. So Lamar is the running game. Also, another thing is, remember, to me at least, their primary receiver is Mark Andrews. So when you have when you have a tight end as your primary receiver, it does allow for the quarterback to get out the pocket a little bit more. It opens it up more because now you can't just put 8 in the box. You can't just double up on him. You have to keep your eyes on that mobile quarterback. And then that's when people like Bateman and Duvernay, they can get open down the field and you can hit them up and find them. And the last thing is when they add Isaiah Likely to the mix, now you're going double tight. You got to worry about Mark Andrews. You got to worry about Lamar. You got to worry about Likely. And even though he didn't do much, he had little flashes. So I'm all with Lamar doing that for right now. And J.K. Dobbins should be back maybe week 4. They say maybe 3, but I'm looking really realistically week 4.
Yeah, for a full load. Yeah.
So what game sucked?
What you think, Jay?
Well, what we doing? I mean, I'm looking at. You talking about Miami? You talking about what's? I think that they don't have their run game. They're waiting on Dobbins to come back. I mean, it's I'm waiting on Dobbins to come back too. I got him in like 3 leagues.
Yeah, me too. But now I'm wondering when he does come back, is he going to get the ball? Is Lamar going to ball hog on him? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's
no contract and everything, so he trying to show out. how much you gonna show out, bro, till you get hurt? Like you gonna turn an
Yeah,
on us or
that-
what?
that's
I
my,
think he's
that's
gonna
my
give it to him.
concern.
He'll give it to
You
him.
know? I'm sorry, Guru. That's my
No,
concern. I mean, I think they're really just trying to do what they can do until Dobbins does get back. But I mean, we haven't seen Dobbins in a year, you know. So I'm not sure what he's going to do when he comes back. I'm hoping he comes back and becomes a top 10, top 5 running back. But on that team, like you said, with Lamar taking so many of the touches, he's going to be hogging, taking away touchdowns inside the 20. I mean, so I don't know. I think we need to see Dobbins come back before we get a real idea of what they want to look like at this point.
We talked about Bateman last week, and I told y'all I needed more data in order to properly assess. I'm done assessing. He will be in my starting lineup next week. He's their guy. He's the one guy that Lamar's throwing deep to. So yeah, he's going to the starting lineup. If he gets one big play a week, he's probably serviceable. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that. Left him on the bench too. Yep. Boy, what a week. You know, my only real guy that I had in multiple leagues that showed up was Mr. Chubb.
Number 1 draft pick, right? Number 1 draft pick for you.
No, I always get him in like a second, third round, man. Yeah, he's that guy.
Every year.
And whether Cleveland win or lose, whether they put up 2 yards, he'll have them. It'll be his 2 yards, he's the guy. What else in Cleveland looks good other than him?
Amari Cooper showed up this week.
Yeah. Yes, he did.
Is that going? I don't know how sustainable that is, but
he's Nelson Aguilar 2.0. I'm not impressed. I'm not.
Aguilar's not looking too bad these days.
I know, right? It's all a facade. Trust me, bro. It's all smoke and mirrors.
The Aguilar had over 100 last week.
Yeah, it's probably the first time in his career. I don't know.
As long as Jalen Reagor didn't do it. So.
Well, at the beginning of at the top of the conversation, we talked a little bit about this thing called 3Con. It was confidence, consideration, and concern. And as you bring up this conversation, one of the concerns that I have is with my own team with Tampa, with Brady. I don't know if you guys caught that, but this was Brady's is the second lowest pass percentage right now, ever since Brian Leftwich took over. And this year, he's 24th when it comes to first down attempts. Last year he was second, so that means that we're definitely running the ball a lot more. And I know that Fournette at this point he's doing about 22.9 carries, and he leads the NFL with the most first half runs, whereas last year it was only 12. So he's pretty much more than doubling what he's doing, what the running is going on in Tampa in the first half of the game. And the reason why I mentioned the first half is because obviously the game is not put away, so that's when you're still straggling and struggling for points, but just not doing it. And I know the O-line is beat up. I know our receivers are gone, but it's kind of reminiscent to how our season ended last year without having receivers on the field.
Yeah, you guys in a situation not having any receivers. I think that's really
now you got Evans out for a week, another week.
It's so bad. We signed Cole Beasley today.
I don't know that I'm too worried about them. Tom Brady, I think first of all, he's got some personal issues going on. I don't think it's all just the receivers, but as much as I don't like the guy, put him in the playoffs and he can be a problem. Doesn't matter who he has out there. And you got to think, he is missing Gronk too, his go-to. some of that,
missing Gronk, Jensen,
yeah,
missing
yeah,
left tackles, missing 2 tackles.
yeah.
I mean, and we had a game with all 3 receivers out.
I jokingly, before the season started, jokingly said I wouldn't be surprised to see Brady just like hang it up mid-season. But if you look at him in these press conferences and stuff, again, he's looking like Katharine Hepburn, and that's troublesome. Why are you looking like a 90-year-old woman?
Wow.
And his face sunken in and everything. He looked like he needs to eat a sandwich. So it's just that I guess, and because mental health is a real thing, man. I think he's going through some things at home.
He's just hungry because he don't eat meat. He's hungry. That's all.
Yeah, well, you're not hungry enough because it's not going to translate to wins every week like that. And you mentioned Fournette. Fournette did nothing for me yesterday. Absolutely nothing. I don't know how many times he touched the ball, but it wasn't enough.
That's those O-line problems.
Yeah.
O-line issues. I mean, there's a couple teams, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh. I mean, that's called the problem. I'm glad I didn't pick up Najee.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's having issues. I did play Burrow, but I mean, he keeps
not showing up.
He can't get much going.
Yeah. On the other side of that same game with the Saints, at the last minute, I did kind of like what Mo did. I pivoted away from Buffalo defense and Cincinnati defense. I picked Buccaneers, which was a good move. By the same token, because the New Orleans front line was going to be out of whack. Alvin Kamara was going to be out of the game. And then they reported that Jameis Winston has 4 fractures in his back. So
4 fractures in his back.
So we're going to run with that.
Even playing? Now, I have him in a couple of leagues. He's my starter in one league.
I have 2. I have one reason why he's in the game, and it's 2 words. The first word is Andy, and the second word is Dalton. That's why he's in the game.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It just sounds very risky to me.
It is.
He is the better play right now, but I don't know if he's 4 fractures in my back, bro. I wouldn't even be getting out of bed. I'd be calling coach like, "Yeah, I'm not coming in today." You know what I'm saying? That sounds pretty significant to me.
But then remember, it's also a little personal too with Jameis and Tampa.
Yeah.
And
you know what? If we'd have had they're in the same division. We could have got personal next time we play. I don't think I would have been out there.
Tell that to Mike Evans and that dude
Mike Evans is not like Lattimore. Let's be clear, okay? I don't care what that man did. He could have just coughed and he would have came over and hit that dude. He did not like him. I love it though. I love that battle. To me, guess what? Everybody says Mr. Brady started it and then walked off smooth. But so what? Everybody on that team knows you protect the quarterback. So I like what Mike Evans did. I'm sorry he had to lose a game for it, but you know what?
All right.
It's gonna be all right.
We still got the W.
You got the W, so that makes up for it.
Still got the win.
He got me an L. Getting kicked out.
Undefeated.
Well, there's another quarterback, since we're on quarterbacks, that is likely, in my opinion, going to be playing through something similar. Mr. Herbert. I watched that play. What was that, Thursday night, right?
Yeah.
I watched that play, and if you look at it, he was tackled, and the guy's head was under his back. So when he fell, all of his weight and the guy's weight went on his helmet and on his back. So they're taking it lightly. They're not saying a lot, but I think he's going to have a similar situation. If you looked at it, remember, he wouldn't even run out of bounds. He could have run out of bounds and gotten the first down, but he
2 yards. 2 yards.
Yeah, he just stopped because that kind of pain, you can only imagine. I can only imagine if you're in that much pain that you're not even going to try. Yeah. So what does that look like?
And the similarity also, he doesn't have Keenan Allen. unless he comes
Right.
back. But and then the next man up, well, Mike Williams. Then you got Josh Palmer, who did look nice. He had 8 targets. Josh
Yeah, Mike
Palmer. So
Williams had a good game too.
yeah,
Mr. J. You know what I'm saying? We talked about that last week, and I told you I was not buying in on Mike Williams. He's still gonna be Mike Williams, but he showed up, and Herbert actually had a great game. I thought they might actually pull it out. If you look at it, they were playing Kansas City, right? Yeah.
yeah.
Kansas City really should have lost that game if it wasn't for the defensive touchdown.
Don't forget Mr. Everett with 6 receptions and 71 yards out of nowhere.
Yeah,
Tight end
who?
extraordinaire.
Right.
Gerald Everett, tight end extraordinaire.
Who? Tight end extraordinaire, huh?
I don't believe him. I do not believe him.
You're not buying on Everett, huh?
I'm not buying it. I
You're
can't
You're
say.
not running to the waiver wire to pick him up or nothing, huh?
No. I picked up Logan Thomas last
Yeah.
week.
So
Okay.
He showed up.
All right, so we getting through it. Now let's get to those. Let's go ahead and get to it now. Get it out of the way so I ain't got to talk about them later. Them boys.
the what?
Them boys down in Texas.
Mm.
Can we talk about another sport instead?
Anything else?
So they eked out a win that they shouldn't have had. Cincinnati let me down, and but they did what they had to do. They got the ball to CeeDee Lamb. A lot of people were down on CeeDee Lamb because of the production was going to be considered to be lowered because you don't have Dak Prescott, but they were already low with Dak Prescott. So Cooper Rush, although Cincinnati did have a week to prepare for him, it's a different game plan. So, and you don't really know what's going to happen because even though he came into the game, there really wasn't much recent tape on him. So typically, whenever a quarterback comes in new, the rest of the league is not really prepared for him, and therefore you kind of give the edge to the new quarterback or to the quarterback that's coming in because who prepared for Cooper Rush in the offseason? Or nobody.
Me and Jay talk about that like every year because it happens with running backs too. Somebody gets hurt, somebody comes in, and there's no film on this guy, and he just comes out and takes full advantage of it.
Yeah, I tend to look at it as a lot of even when it comes to Herbs, Rush, a lot of guys. You don't really know we don't know what it's going to be until teams get some film on them and start playing devising schemes against them. So we'll see.
So as far as the Cowboys, they Michael Gallup might be back. Dalton Schultz may not be back, and Tony Pollard did a wonderful job on my bench. Thank you, Tony. And,
I was one of the ones that prior to the season thought that Pollard should probably go higher than Zeke in drafts.
Oh yeah, that's why I drafted him. I have no shares of Zeke, but rest of season, who do you think had the more productive season, Pollard or Zeke?
Pollard.
Probably Pollard.
Yeah.
He's just the more productive back. I don't, Zeke, I've never been sold on him. Yeah, he had a couple of good years, but he hasn't had a great year in about 4 years. Yeah, it's been a while. And then moving to other quarterbacks that have to now step in. Sorry to hear my guy, Mr. Lance. Sorry for you. Hope you get better quickly. But that's season ending. So now what everybody thought was going to happen week 4 or 5 is now. Here comes Jimmy G. Buying or selling on Jimmy G?
Oh, I'm buying.
People be hitting the waiver wire to pick this guy
up. Absolutely. He is the number one quarterback pickup in a 12 or more man league. 10, probably not, but in the 12, 14 man league, definitely, because taking into consideration what's different. Kittle will be back at some point, even though he's brittle, but Kittle will be back. They still have Brandon Ayuk. You still got Deebo Samuels. And the running back, honestly, even though you don't have Eli Mitchell right now, they never really had a consistent running back. They just have it's kind of like rent a running back when it comes to San Francisco 49ers. They only have a running back for about maybe 4 or 5 weeks, and then they go to the next one, or 3 or 4 weeks. So you take all that into consideration. The defense is still the same, got a little bit better. Fred Warner got better, Bosa and everybody. So now you have the same team that Jimmy G took to the Super Bowl. So why can't he do it again?
See,
And
my thing
last year
with that
one play.
is my thing with that is while they may win games and they may, get to the playoffs and maybe even get to the second round or whatever, Jimmy G is not a great fantasy quarterback.
No.
His numbers are not eye popping at all. So while he's now the starter and they have the weapons, he's more of a dink and dump, screen pass here or there, and the running game is going to improve, I think, with him because it has to. He's not as athletic as Lance. Obviously not as young. He's more of a stay in the pocket, hand the ball off. But he's also not. I don't think he's really a big play threat. I had him last year. I had him last year in the league, and his numbers week in and week out were underwhelming. So I don't know if I would rush out to get him. If you're in desperate need, like some of us.
Hey, if Trey Lance was your starting quarterback, you probably are in desperate.
Hey, and yeah, Trey Lance and Winston were my quarterbacks. So you see the position I'm in. I don't know what I'm going to get out of Winston. So yeah, Jimmy G, of course I'm putting in a bid for him, and I'm ahead of you guys on the waiver for sure. Okay, I'm 0-2. So so I should be able to snag him. I got my claim in already for him. I don't necessarily want him though.
Like Guru said, I mean, the office is open,
Right.
Oh no. Here's the funny thing is,
I have a nice backup on my bench.
I started to send Guru a trade offer for Lawrence, but I'm playing him this week. So I know he's not going to trade me on the week that I'm playing him so he can come in and beat him. But next week, I'm going to need to make that happen.
Yeah, no, you can have Lawrence.
Because you have a lot of you got 3 quarterbacks over there, and I don't know who does that. But like we talked about before the season, trade bait, and I looked at your squad. You could definitely use a running back. I got both of those backs for the Jets. One of them's gonna pop. You can have both of them and give me
my office hours, Red. All right. You got the office hours.
Yeah, we out of office hours right now. Outside of office hours, I'm slow it down.
My office hours are.
No, but yeah, I'm putting it out there in case somebody else try to send you a trade between now and next week. I ain't gonna do it this week because I know you're gonna be like, nah, I'll just wait. I'll
never know.
Yeah, you never know. I might send it over now. You know what I'm saying?
You never know. So. Well, okay, that's funny. We were talking
to Mac Jones.
But wait, hold on. Before you pivot there, we were talking about Dallas on Dallas on the other side of the same game with Cincinnati. Joe Burrow getting sacked 5 times. T. Higgins not having a prolific game. Jamar Chase not having a prolific game. Well, that's what I'm trying to get to. Hayden Hurst, he did nice, but my thing is this: a lot of people are kind of out on the Cincinnati experience and all of that, but take into consideration last year. Well, I'm sorry, because they're talking about they don't have a good O-line. Their O-line is this and that. But last year they didn't have a great O-line. Their O-line is actually better now than it was last year, and they just didn't really get the time to gel. I mean, like Hayden Hurst, he had, I think he had 8 targets in week 1, 7 targets this week. So he's like that emergency outlet for Joe Burrow. So, I mean, because Burrow just holds on to the ball a little bit too long, or a little bit more than too long. So, what do you think?
How much credit should we be giving the Dallas defense? When you think about it, they've only given up like 2 touchdowns this year. They gave up 1.
Who did Cincinnati play in game 1, in week 1? Well, I can't remember who he played, but I think he got sacked 6 times, 7 times in that game. So I'm not saying I'm not giving it up to the Cow, to that team. But what I will say is that this is 2 weeks in a row that we've seen Joe Burrow horizontal more than he's been vertical. So therefore, it's not.
Yeah, my point was Dallas held Tampa to 1 touchdown, which was late in the game.
What you trying to say?
Then they had Mike Evans. They had.
Tampa Bay's line sucks too.
Okay. I like it.
You said 1 touchdown.
F Dallas. We're not giving them no credit for nothing.
Hey, you said 1 touchdown.
Yeah, Tampa only scored 1 touchdown week 1.
Yeah.
Oh, week 1. I thought you were talking about this past week. Okay.
Yep.
I was gonna say that was the Saints, right? Yeah, you're right. So
who else out there? Who you guys? What other quarterbacks we missing? We missing Jacoby Brissett and Mac Jones and all these guys that are all the same quarterback, guys. Just in case you're out there, you see him on the wire, leave him on the wire. Unless you're desperate.
They are not starters to me. I mean, they're not starters. I'd rather
even in my situation.
I'll make a trade first.
Yeah, and see that's what I'm left with. Like I went on the waiver wire and I don't want to be that desperate that I'm picking up Mr. that guy.
As you say that, let me talk you into some some nasty choices. So in no particular order, you got Carson Wentz, who's been dishing the ball out all over the place and
he's not
getting
on the wire
anymore
in most leagues.
He's not on waivers? Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
Well, maybe not for us, but in some leagues he is. And then what about Mr. Jared Goff? He's throwing the ball to Hawk. He's throwing the ball to Swift. He's throwing the ball to Amon-Ra St. Brown. And while it may not be the most attractive situation, of course, if you're going to the waivers and you already have an issue, they might be able to solve. Marcus Mariota, next game is against Seahawks, the Browns, and then Tampa. But
he's the top quarterback on most waivers right now. Goff's not on the waivers in most of my leagues.
He is mobile. He is mobile. I know you don't like Jimmy G, but his next games are against Denver, the Rams, and the Panthers. So 2 out of those 3 are favorable opponents. So, they may not be the ones that you are running to go get, but you got to love, like you said, Mariota. He's mobile quarterback, and, he's guaranteed not guaranteed, but he could get you at least 30 to 40 on the ground every game. And at some point, Pitts is going to catch the ball. So you pair him up with Drake London because while I may not like a waiver quarterback, I love a waiver quarterback that has a nice receiver. So Jared Goff, nice receiver. Nice receiver from the backfield.
I'm definitely not opposed to streaming a quarterback week to week. I've done it before. And right now I feel like I'm in that situation because Winston with 4 fractured back ribs or whatever, baby back ribs. I want my baby back. I'm not really convinced that I'm going to play him every week. Then Lance went down. So even if I get Jimmy G, not completely sold on him. So I could very easily stream Mariota this week, pick up the next hot, according to matchup, pick up a quarterback next week until Winston is 100%, at least. I don't know that he'll be 100% this year. I know fractures, that's a break. You have broken back ribs, bro? Like,
well,
what are we talking about here?
True.
Would you guys stream a quarterback throughout the season?
If I have to.
Only if I have to. I'll trade first.
Yeah.
I'll stream first because if I trade, then there's no need to stream. My thing is my bench is not bad. It's my team is not bad if people start showing up. But
here's the question: have you ever won a championship doing that?
Nope.
No. Streaming a quarterback? Nope. No.
Exactly.
You just have fun. That's it.
Get my participation trophy.
You just make a donation. That's all.
Right. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for coming out. God bless and good year. You know.
So,
Exactly.
Who we missing here? We touched on. Did we get to Derek, Mr. Carr? He's been showing up.
well, he didn't show up this month too much this time.
Yeah, but he's not winning. So, but he's gonna put up numbers. He's one of those quarterbacks like Phillip Rivers that year in and year out he's a loser, but he's great for fantasy. you know.
Yeah. Well, that's the
Got
case. You might as
weapons.
well talk about Geno Smith. You said what, Truth?
I was saying he has weapons, Carr.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got
Yeah.
Devontae Adams out there,
And Waller.
and Waller. Yeah,
Man, I had Wentworth. I know he's in concussion protocol, but he was I think. Oh yeah, you just picked him up, I believe. True.
Yeah, I did. He did
Yeah, I
all.
pay attention to y'all squads.
Oh man, you see, I played Duvernay in a couple of leagues this week, and he was doing great. And then all of a sudden, his points just stopped.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
harder to get points when you're not on the field.
That's so frustrating, to have a guy come out, start hot, and then you're looking at it's like the first quarter, and you look back at the game 45 minutes later, an hour and a half later, and you're like, why hasn't his points moved? Why aren't they giving the ball? Then you look and oh, he's in the tent. Oh, he's out the rest of the game. It can be a little crushing.
My question is, why are we avoiding the elephant in the room when we're talking about quarterbacks?
Who, Kirk?
Nah, not even Kurt. We talked about Kurt. Not even Kurt. I'm talking
Josh?
about
Who we miss?
I'm talking about the $257 million man,
Oh man.
Mr. Russell Wilson. I don't know.
Yeah, what?
Denver is a complete and
They
utter
look
mess.
terrible. He's my
Judy,
starter in another league. He is my starter, and Winston is my backup, and I'm ready to play Winston. He looks, I don't know what Denver's got going on, but it's not winning football games.
this is what they got going on.
You always have
Judy,
quarterback trouble.
I know, man.
Judy,
That's because I wait till like
I'm sorry,
round
Guru.
70
Go ahead.
one up.
Go ahead, Guru. I was just thinking, like every year since we started fantasy, he always has the same issue.
Because I wait late to get one, and that's what you get.
well, in Denver right now, the mess they have is Judy hurt, Jay, Will, and Gordon getting a stop at the goal line. The coach is not knowing when to go for it, what to do. Jay William had 6 end zones. Gordon had 1, did nothing with it. Coach is confused. Russ is confused. Why do you bring him to the team if you're not going to use him? And then on top of all of that, they are not moving the ball. Like their scores are reliant upon big plays. In week 1, the big play to Judy. Outside of that, not much productivity. Week 2, Judy goes down, so Sutton is the guy. So it's there has to be a change there, and they have their O line is nice. I don't know what the issue is, but I don't know. Hackett has to get out the way as well.
And I think he's been in town long enough to have gained some camaraderie with these guys, some type of fluidity, and it's not showing at all. It looks like they just got together yesterday and was like, hey, let's be a team and let's go out here and play. No running game to really speak about, which is going to be a problem for Russell Wilson. He wants to sit in the back. He wants to sit back now. He did all his running around in Seattle getting on my nerves. And now he doesn't look the same. Maybe it's the change of ring, but he just doesn't look like the Russell Wilson that has pissed me off for so many years,
Well, we also have Mr. RELAX up in Wisconsin, and last week he didn't have much. This week he got Lazard back. However, those receivers in Green Bay, they had no receivers that had more than 4 receptions. They're working in the rookies, all of the rookies. It seems like everybody on the team that has a WR next to their name gets to get on the field. AJ Dillon had 19 touches, didn't do anything with them, and it seemed like they were just trying to showcase Aaron Jones. because last week he didn't get anything. So, what do you think is going to happen in Green Bay?
That's a rough one. I mean, first of all, one of those wide receivers is going to have to step up. We had a big discussion about Lazard. What was it, last week?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. To me, like I said, I don't see that alpha in him. I don't see that
Bro,
alpha.
what? You don't see the alpha in Sammy Watkins? Oh, I mean Randall Cobb.
Oh,
bro, this is
Randall. He knows Aaron Rodgers. He played with him before.
This is the pawpaw. This is the pawpaw of all pawpaw.
6 years ago, man.
He graduated.
I think they wide receiver room is called the pawpaw posse. Everybody they don't just have regular ointment. They all got Bengay in the locker room. I mean, come on.
I really think in Green Bay that the two running backs are going to eat all year. They're both going to have.
You should have told Dylan that this week.
Yards. You know, they can both have 1,200 yards from scrimmage by the end of the year. But the receivers, I wouldn't trust any of them in my lineup. I wouldn't trust Aaron Rodgers in my lineup right now.
Right.
No, somebody's has to step up.
And they're still ranked high, like in the power rankings. I guess they find ways to win, but I don't see it. I guess when it starts to get cold, they definitely have a distinct advantage, especially in home games. Things like that can be a factor, but I don't see them as much of a powerhouse as they make them out to be just because of Mr. Rodgers. With no Adams, it's not. With no Devontae, it's different.
Well, to me, it wasn't a reason. I mean, Dillard is going to have to make his way. He got 19 touches. He had his opportunities. Right. I don't know why Aaron Rodgers. I mean, I'm sorry.
Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones was able to run through the line like it was nothing, and every time Dillard.
Yeah, and Dylan's the bigger one. You would think he'd be the one.
Yeah. I'm like, what's going on here? Because I needed him to break one, at least one, break one.
Jones also had the money shots too, though. So he had the money runs as well.
Yeah.
But maybe next week it'll be a Dylan week. I don't know. All I know is I just needed about 12 more yards from him, but it didn't work out.
Yeah, I'm keeping Dylan. Actually, I took him out of my starting lineup for next week. I forget who I put in for him, but I'm going with a receiver because these backs are just getting on my nerves right now.
Anybody see what happened with D. Harris over there in New England?
Yeah. He's projected. I think he's supposed to still be able to play, but if not, Ramondre Stevenson is going to be a good option.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. See if I want to run him in one of the league.
I'm not buying New England.
Well, Damian Harris, after the game, he had an interview and he said he was okay as well. So typically, if you're really injured, you're not doing press conferences.
Yeah.
At least not me. I'm in the back.
Or you're saying, well, I got to talk to the doctor and we'll see where we go from there. But no, he did sound confident.
Yeah, I'm in the back getting the massage. I mean, not like Deshaun Watson, but just getting the massage nonetheless.
We're gonna have to pause his screen real quick. He over there getting happy endings and stuff. We leaving it alone. Every week can't be a happy ending. Okay.
Well, depends. If you're playing for Houston, you might need
something
happy in your life.
I was going right to Houston. That's where I was going next. Buying or selling.
So, we talked about a bunch of quarterbacks. You want to pivot over to wideouts, running backs?
Well, let's
Houston.
We kind of going through the team, so we can get to Houston. Who do you have on Houston and why?
Brandon Cooks, because he's the only one.
He's the only one.
Pierce, I will say this: Pierce did look better. Well, I mean, that's hard to say. He looked better, but then again, first time really had the ball. So, Pierce looked like he might be all right. He still won't be in my starting lineup at least for the next maybe 1, 2, or 3 weeks. I need to see more. But outside of him, it's Brandon Cooks. OJ Howard didn't get 2 touchdowns this week, so hopefully you didn't buy into that.
So you're not in on Nico Collins?
Nope. But I'm not disrespectful.
That was
pretty clear. That was pretty different.
I just don't have room for him on my bench.
That's not what that sounded like, sir.
So the personal
sounded pretty personal.
That was disrespectful. That was disrespectful.
Okay, good. No,
And
not
now,
at all.
I think he may, but like you said, it's not room enough on the bench to wait and see, you know. And he's been on that team already 3-4 years?
I don't know.
Yeah, nobody knows. I didn't know until I looked at him. When I looked at him, I was like, wow, he's been on. I didn't even know. But he got some targets.
Yeah. Well,
fantasy physics.
Well, I guess we skipped over fantasy physics. I guess we skipped over Chicago. I don't know if that was on purpose or an accident. But
we can get to them. Not much to talk about. They're Chicago.
Well,
it wasn't even raining this time.
Well, I was gonna open.
All right. I take that. Mooney,
droppable.
Yes.
Yeah, I already got a
droppable
set up.
Yeah. I was gonna say definitely not just a straight out drop, but like Mojo said, definitely a transaction drop.
Yeah, there's definitely somebody
in
more
case it doesn't go through. You
wire,
can still throw them at the end, but
yeah. Thanks for the tip, though, Jay. I drafted him. Thanks.
I was gonna say.
That's what you get for always drafting.
We're trying to steal from my player. I should let you draft this man.
I have 0 shares of Mooney for a reason. But then again, I have 0 shares of Chicago.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I got David Montgomery in a couple leagues. Oh,
I guess he did all right.
He always does all right. He never does anything spectacular, but he won't lose a game for me. I'll say that. But I can't really count on him to win a week for me either.
Well, I still believe that him and Mr. Sanders were somewhere watching our video, and I inspired them both to be more productive this week. So you're welcome.
Well, I think Mr. Mahomes got tired of me talking trash, so he went out and did his thing again. So we can talk about him briefly. They still look good. They still look pretty good. I still don't believe in their defense.
Really?
It just depends on their opponent. Yeah, really.
Okay, yeah. There you go.
Yeah, it depends on the opponent. But I guess we'll see. Kyler Murray pulling things out of the bag of tricks to get a W. That was quite a battle. It was a couple of games this week that really, came down to the wire, and this is what we're doing. Where you thought the game was over or put away, and you let teams come back from 3 touchdowns back. Why is that happening? Is it just because everybody's going to the air so much? Is it everybody's secondary sucks? What's going on with that?
With the Chiefs specifically, or everybody?
Just the teams that have like the same thing with Baltimore. They allowed them to come back. Atlanta, we're kind of used to it. But yeah, it's just allowing these teams to, when you're in the fourth quarter and you're up by 3 touchdowns, there's no reason you should.
Something you just said, Mojo, what those 3 teams have in common: Kansas City, Baltimore, Atlanta. All 3 have mobile quarterbacks, and all 3 have what's considered to be the number 1, the number 2, and the number 3 tight end.
Yeah.
I don't know any correlation with that, but
yeah, it makes sense. Because when their release valve is that tight end,
and it's short. So when you have the short intermediate passes, you're gonna.
And those tight ends are the ones getting a lot of yak as well. So yeah, exactly. It makes sense.
And one day
I'm not letting you do that to me 3 different times down the field to get back in the game. Like I don't understand.
Well, I mean, I'm out on everybody in Kansas City outside of Mahomes. and Kelsey. And my big mistake this week was not playing Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but thinking that AJ Dillon was going to do something more than what he did. That was my only mistake I made this week. Was
So
not
next week,
playing
you're
Clyde.
saying next week you would play Hilaire over Dillon?
Nope, it's a week by week decision. It's not like Buffalo's defense. Buffalo's defense is an automatic start every week, but in this situation, I got to see who's playing who. Nice try though. I see where you was going with that.
Yeah, but I agree. Buffalo's defense is a definite start every week.
Except for the last two.
Yeah,
All right. So
that was different.
okay.
They had a slow start to the season.
Got it. All right. So
And so we got to transition over to my Carolina Panthers. They played the New York Football Giants. Another game that just
who's the quarterback again?
Baker Mayfield.
Cam Newton? Oh, Baker Mayfield.
First of all, why you're a baker? Why are you out here throwing balls around? You're supposed to be baking cakes. They actually played a good game. It was more of a defensive game. Both of those defenses are low key pretty good. But both of those offenses are low key stagnant. Week one, so we were talking about what's his name?
Saquon Barkley.
Saquon Barkley. And you have this monster week one. You come out week two and throw up a dud. Is this to be expected? Do we have the up and down? Does he find some level of consistency in that offense, or are we done seeing him? That was his game, and the rest of the season is going to look like this.
No, I think they're going to have better. Oh, go ahead, Goo. Go ahead, Jack.
I was going to say, I was a little disappointed. I thought they should have used him more. I think they could have ran off and through him. It seemed like they, tried to go through more of a passing situation this week. But I think next week they'll go back to. I mean, they won this week barely, but if they would have played anybody else, they'd have lost.
They are 2-0, guys.
Yeah, so I think they'll learn to just run that offense through Barkley. I guess they just try not to, limit his touches or something. I'm not sure. But.
Well, you got to remember, they also got Sterling Shepard back, and he came back, and he had 88 snaps, also a 29.4 target share. So he had about a third of the target share, from Danny Dimes. And the reason why I say it is because the game last week they didn't have that, so they were predicated upon just the running game. That's all they had was a running game. Whereas versus now they were able to put him out there. The milk carton is still has Tony on it, but this next week, Mr. Robinson, W. Robinson, he'll be back. He should be back on the fold. So I think you're gonna see more Saquon than last week, but not as much as the first week.
What about McCaffrey and these Panthers, man? They can't seem to get it together. They got DJ Moore. They got McCaffrey. They went and got a quarterback. They got Baker Mayfield. Then you got Robbie Anderson. He actually had a decent game. What do we make of McCaffrey? Because he's really the guy that everybody, we need him to show up.
Thing is, I mean, he had 102 on the ground, 24 in the air.
Right.
Is that a bad game?
Nope.
Not a bad game, but
I'll take it for fantasy.
I mean, I'd like to see a touchdown in there. Yeah, I'd like to see a touchdown in there, but that's definitely serviceable. That's 25 points probably at least, so, in our scoring area.
Yeah, so them losing games doesn't seem like it's really. I mean, it's.
But that's the thing, though. But with McCaffrey, for where he's drafted, you're expecting 150 scrimmage yards and a touchdown or two. So it's
not every week. You can't.
Yes, you do. Yeah. He's drafted like first, second, or third in most leagues.
What did Jonathan Taylor do this week?
Nothing.
Exactly. The fantasy reality is. Nobody's going to give you $150 every week.
They're supposed to. That's what I drafted them to do. That's what I'm saying.
Well, maybe you should do a redraft league. So, what about your guy in Arizona?
Kyler?
Yeah, K1.
Yeah, I'm in on Kyler. I got him in a league or two.
It'd be
He had
nice
a
if he
great
had
game.
somebody to throw it to, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I
He's
take it
another
back. I forgot he had Dortch.
What's interesting, I know they won that game and everything, but he was actually getting on my nerves. Like poor ball placement and just he sometimes to me he makes up a play. Like I don't think he's going through the reads and he's like it shows. So he worries me because I don't think I can expect that type of production every week. That's what I'm getting at.
He worries me. He reminds me of Allen Iverson when he's on the court. Like when he get the ball in his hand, he's just gonna do what he think he needs to do.
Right. He's not, yeah, they called in a play and he like, okay, to the light pole and bust a right.
Like that's cool.
He been spending money. He's been spending money the past couple months. So
yeah, the real life Willie Beeman. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, you gotta wait till he gets finished spending money.
Now I know we waiting on D Hop to get back. AJ Green, somebody did CPR and brought him to life. He got in the end zone this past week.
Right.
But as far as the number two, well, we'll come back to Hollywood. But you got Greg Dortch with no Rondell Moore and with no D Hop. Like he's the second. So yeah, I don't know.
I don't mind. I kind of like Dortch.
I just like saying his name, Dortch. You Dortch.
So we've mentioned a couple of guys to target on the waiver wire. Jimmy G, obviously one of them. Anybody else you think Wilson we talked about and Jimmy G? Anybody else you guys think maybe people be targeting?
Dortch.
No, okay. I'll pass.
Yeah, I do. I don't know if he's still out there, but you have Curtis Samuel in Washington, 9 targets. You have Jay Dodson in Washington, over 50 routes where he ran. Josh Palmer talked about him earlier. Chris Olave out of New Orleans. He he had 80 yards this past year. I mean this past week. We didn't really talk about Jacoby Myers. If you're in a full PPR, 11 targets, 29.2% of the target rates, and then Michael Gallup. He's a lot there. Noah Brown, 19% air targets. So there are some other people out there. Those are just the wide receivers that I think are interesting to pick up off of waivers, and I'm sure that a lot of them are on waivers.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the wide receivers. I got more.
Dodson and Curtis Samuel, they got picked up last week.
But in some league, well, remember this is not just for our league. This is for other leagues as well. So when you got 12 and 14 team leagues, I'm in a 16 team league, and Curtis Samuel was on waivers. It's a weird league. I have to explain.
I picked him up last week, but I still played McLaurin over him, and he had a better day than McLaurin.
Yeah.
That's why I don't like to get, just like that situation I have with the 2 Jets running backs. I'm just waiting for one of them to show a little more than the other, or one of them to get hurt, and then I'm golden. But for McLaurin is supposed to be the guy. I drafted him. But yeah, Curtis Samuel, if he continues at this rate, he may, find himself in my starting lineup.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, that's for our wide receivers. As far as running backs that we didn't discuss, I don't mind telling y'all this because it doesn't matter in our league, but Brian Robinson needs to be added in every format and placed on the bench or placed back there. If you wait until week 4 to go pick him up when they say he'll be back in week 5, it might be a little bit too late at that point. I believe it's gonna be his backfield. I also believe, I know you were kind of down on Raheem Mostert in Miami, but I think he's a definite add as well. Darrell Williams, he got the goal line touches, 61% of the share, and within the 10 yards, he went all. They had 10 opportunities within 10 yards, and he had all 10 of them. So he's definitely somebody to keep in mind if James Conner is unable to go. J.D. McKissick, another Washington. He had seven targets as a Washington back. And then don't forget about Tyler Algier. Now, we don't really know what he's going to do, but we do know that he had 39% of the touches this past week. And he's the backup because Damian Williams is out. And if Cordero Patterson is flexed out, then, Algier probably will have that backfield. So those are my running back choices.
Now, what about your kicker?
Why you want to skip over the tight ends?
Oh man, I'm not messing with no tight ends on the wire right now.
Well, I am. Tight ends, Logan Thomas, another Washington guy. 63%
Right.
of the route.
So basically, what you're saying is the teams who all their players are on the wire get those players.
Yes. I'm giving you choices, opportunities, and options. All right. Irv Smith, nice. Higbee, nice.
Higbee should not be on the wire. I have Higbee.
Who? Higbee? Yeah, Higbee's on the wire in a few leagues. Matter of fact, I have a transaction for him right now.
Really?
Yeah.
I have him in 2 leagues. I have him on the bench, but I have him in 2 leagues.
Well, see, exactly. You have him on the bench for a reason because you don't have him in the game. And so some people that don't want to hold 2 tight ends, they'll drop Higbee. And then I'm going to go scoop him up. And what about Evan Engram? Evan Engram had 8 targets this past week.
I think the tight end is tight end important enough that you should have 2.
Hey,
what about Irv Smith?
I'm looking at the targets though.
Irv Smith
that's what gets
good.
Productivity. Yeah, I said Herb Smith. You was probably trying to cut me off and move on to kickers. But yeah, I said Herb Smith. Just disrespectful, man.
Irv Smith ain't nothing. You know what? All we did was say we're gonna let somebody else beat us. It won't be this guy, okay?
Well, kickers, Will Lutz, is probably out there. I know he has a really low percentage ownership rate, and apparently, Mr. Amendola, the backup for Kansas City, apparently for Harrison Butker, he's pretty good. Who would have thought? But yeah. Either one of them.
Are we talking about a kicker now?
You asked me about kickers, bro. I'm just complying with the request.
He did. And my nephew picked him up last week and played him against me, and he had like running back numbers. Great. Thank you.
Hey,
thanks.
A kicker when you're weak.
Young Hoku got me 24 points last week.
And actually, I do have 2 leagues that I'm dropping my kickers because their team is not putting up points at all.
Right. But this week I lost. I went 8-5. 2 of them I just got. Huh?
Who got shut out this week?
Yeah, I went 8-5.
No, somebody got shut out this week. I think we need to do a special shout out. Who put up 0 points?
I don't know. Let me see.
Indiana.
Indianapolis.
Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Jacksonville. Yeah.
What are we doing over here? What is really going on? 0?
Okay. They didn't have Michael Pittman. The same thing with Tennessee. Let's go back to Tennessee. So you take Michael Pittman off the team, and the Indianapolis Colts are the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee barely got a touchdown. So all they have is a running game. So when you don't have Michael Pittman, I bet you can't even name the next 3 wide receivers on the Indianapolis Colts. So all you're going to do is drop 8 in the box. Jonathan Taylor cannot take on 8 people. He's nice, but he ain't 8 people nice. And then Matt Ryan is the same as Tannehill.
Is Jacksonville for real though? We talked about this before the season. Like they got a new coach. They got, things going on, a lot of moving pieces.
But also keep in mind, Shaq Leonard didn't play for the Colts. And he's a big contributor to that middle. So to answer your question, is Jacksonville for real? I think they nice. I think they nice. They all right. Yeah, they all right. I mean, James Robinson is the one. He's the back,
Yeah.
and
Right.
they are getting the money worth. They put a lot of money into Christian Kirk, and they're getting it out, and they're getting productivity, and that's working out.
Yeah,
Yes,
Kirk
sir.
is Kirk is nice. Kirk is nice. He's showing up. He spent that. They spent that money. He better show up.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then let's see defenses. Y'all streaming any defenses this week? No, I'm
Um,
sorry, not you, Mojo.
yeah, I'm
Truth.
dropping the defense. Anybody want
Right.
Cleveland defense? Come get them.
Nah.
I always stream defenses.
Well,
Might have to
on
pick.
some in some leagues, I know the Chargers are available, and they got the Jags coming up, Texans, and the Browns. I know we just talked about the Jags, but they have those three coming up. The Chiefs we talked about already. The Saints have the Panthers coming up, but then the Vikings and Seahawks. So at least 2.5 out of those three should work out in favor for them. Eagles shouldn't be on anybody's waiver list
They
anymore,
shouldn't be.
but they are in a couple. So that would be my number one pickup, honestly, and not just because of what they did yesterday, and not just because of what they did last week, but their next games are against Washington, the Jags, and the Cardinals, and that's yuck and halfway yuck. So, um, Cleveland, I know you dropping them, but Cleveland they got who they have? They have Pittsburgh, Atlanta, and Chargers coming up. So 2 out of 3.
Yeah, and the problem with that is I'm gonna be tempted to play them 2 of those 3 weeks, and I'm gonna leave Buffalo on the bench because the matchup is better, and then I'm gonna be mad next week when I'm 0-3. So no, dropping them.
Well, the Giants got the cow people, and what they got the cow. They got the cow people and Chicago, but then the
That's gonna
Packers
be a
too.
good test because I really actually think you said the Giants, right?
Correct.
I actually think the Giants defense is definitely serviceable.
Oh yeah, and they are. And then now, what about Atlanta defense? And I say this because of Terrell and Hayward. They they were able to get sacks and picks on Matt Stafford, and they got Seattle coming up next with Mr. Geno Smith.
Ooh.
I mean,
Seattle
like
is
if
in
you
complete
struggling,
disarray. Seattle's another one in complete disarray. I know they won week 1 against Denver, but nothing really looked impressive. Um, so yeah, wow. That
well,
is kind of nice.
can
That's
we go over?
interesting.
In order to pick up somebody, you got to drop somebody. So I can tell you who's droppable to me with MBS by uh, Thielen. I don't know. There's no
Ooh.
Thielen had no usage. I'm not dropping him, but he's at the end of my bench because he had no usage. Think about it. Game 1, Jefferson was balling
Fourth
out for
quarter, he
4.
did. They was throwing it to him in the fourth quarter. Yeah, like the last two
That don't
minutes of
count.
the game.
Yeah, that don't count. That's just like anybody that scored in the last minutes of the Tennessee game. I mean, not Tennessee, the Buffalo game, because it was Buffalo's game. But they yeah, MVS by and the thing with Thielen,
Yeah,
even
MVS.
when they were
I'm
struggling, they
letting
didn't
him
go to
go.
him. They didn't even go
I'm
to him
letting
when they were
MVS go
struggling.
because he's
So
just not getting any target share.
yeah, and then Mooney, we talked about Landry. You holding on to
No,
Landry?
he wouldn't. He wouldn't. He should be on the wire already.
What about Tony?
All right, I
Don't.
dropped it last week.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not holding on to
same.
him.
I'm
What
thinking
about
about. I'll probably pick him up mid-season. I think he'll come to what he needs to be doing, but for some reason he's just not. Something's wrong over there. I'm not sure what it is.
what about Pickens? Did y'all draft Pickens?
No.
I drafted Pickens.
Now I'm
I,
gonna say one that's a little controversial, and a lot of conversations I've been having for the past couple of days. What you doing with Mr. Elijah Moore out of New Jersey, New York?
I don't
Holding
have.
him? You don't have any Eli anymore?
No.
Oh,
Never really.
And I guess that'll be a short conversation then.
I'm
But let's play
I'm
pretend.
I
Claypool.
avoid all Jets. No.
I tell you, I got the backs. That's it. I'm dropping Claypool in the league.
Oh, you got Claypool, but you don't have Elijah Moore.
Yep. Sorry.
All right.
I mean, that's just the way the
Apologies
story
accepted.
goes.
So Trubisky. No. I would say I drop Pickens. I just don't. I mean, Pickens didn't have a bad game this week, though, did he? He had an all right game, right?
Correct.
I still don't believe him. I don't believe in the offense. Maybe later in the season they make some changes, see if I can, get them for somebody else. But I do that a lot. I'll drop somebody early and then somebody else will pick them up.
Man, I dropped somebody last week that I'm trying to pick back up in the league. I'm like, why did I drop him? I can't even remember what my rationale was, and I'm even picking him back up for the person that I picked up. It's so stupid. I won't even talk about it. But and I'm not naming no names in case it's that league, and I don't need y'all trying. You know what I'm saying? But I know he's real. Like I gotta prioritize it and put it to the top because I know everybody trying to get him. Because I gave up on him. That's why you don't give up when you drafts in week 1.
Fellas, I'm gonna have to get ready to head out.
Yeah, thanks. We got a lot of information.
I apologize. The reason I had a little awkward moment because I got a text and I got to get ready to go somewhere.
Yeah, it looked like you're on your way to church. Amen. Do your thing.
Coming from work, man. Coming from work.
No. Yeah, we do have real jobs, guys. We got other jobs other than this. But whether you're 0-2, 1-1, or 2-0, we got the knowledge for you. We got the information. The guru down here gave y'all some real hot pickups. Make sure you get your waiver claims in tonight. Most waivers will run tomorrow on Wednesday, so we'll always remind you. If you're losing or if you're looking, trying to get somebody off that wire, make sure you get that claim in. You don't want to wake up tomorrow morning and everybody claimed who you want and then you're running after scraps.
But Mojo, real quick. But suppose I'm high in a waiver claim and I throw my waiver for somebody that is not somebody that I really, really want. I mean, somebody that I just want on my bench, but I'm not going to use him. Should I waste my high waiver claim?
Yeah. What do you mean?
All right.
Unless you're trying to pick up 2 people, I mean, y'all put in 2 waivers. Hey, look, yeah, if you want them on your bench, drop the MVS or whoever and get them. But that's all the advice we got for today. Next week, I'm gonna be able to let y'all know that I went 8-0. We'll talk about it on Sunday. Again, this is Mojo. You can catch me out after this on the Matchup Madness. And then again, we'll see y'all on Sunday. And you guys, any final words for our viewers here?
Well, just want to say thank you to my co-host, Mr. Mojo, and the Stat Guru. And we see you guys Sunday. I gotta go take care of something. I got some business to handle late on a freaking Tuesday night.
Yeah, we went a little over. What you think, Guru? Give him a shout out for.
Oh, that was it. Just see y'all see you on Sunday. See you next Tuesday, and you can catch me every Tuesday here, Sunday here, and Monday somewhere.
Yeah, we'll do that too. We're gonna do a little Monday night chitter chatter or something.
I'm just playing. All
right, my people.
Good luck, everybody. Get them waivers.
Get them waivers now.